This is Info 5630 Project 1, Cultural Heritage Institutions. We'll be examining two different types of cultural heritage institutions: academic library special collections and historical museums. These will be known as special collections and museums respectively in this presentation. We will be comparing and contrasting traditional methods of preserving cultural heritage in four major categories: goals of collecting, preservation and access, outreach and education, integration and growth. The three academic library special collections are the Brown Popular Cultural Library at Bowling Green State University in Ohio, Princeton University Special Collections at Princeton University in New Jersey, Brown-Meyer Special Collections at Brown-Meyer College in Pennsylvania. These will be known as BPCL, Princeton, and Brown-Meyer during this presentation. The three historical museums are the Fraser Kentucky History Museum in Kentucky, the Strong National Museum of Play in New York, the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C. These will be known as Fraser, the Strong, Museum of the Bible in this presentation. Category 1. Goals of collecting. Each special collection has a goal of collecting rare books, artifacts, and cultural objects that support teaching and research at their respective colleges and universities. Unique to the trio, the BPCL focuses specifically on research materials dealing with American popular culture post-1876. Princeton boasts the largest collection of the three, including 30,000 linear feet of textual materials, ranging from cuneiform tablets to contemporary manuscripts. Brown-Meyer is particularly concerned with understanding the college's past and houses its archives as well as the special collections. Each museum has collection goals unique to its specific mission and vision. Fraser is tied to its geographic area, with a collection featuring artifacts relating to the state's involvement in the Civil War, the bourbon and tobacco industries, as well as documents that represent the lives of Kentuckians and the places they've called home throughout history. The Strong focuses on objects, manuscripts, and other materials that reflect and document the importance of play in American cultural history. The Strong is comparable to the BPCL in that both focus on aspects of American popular culture. The Museum of the Bible's collection seeks to convey the global impact and fascinating history of the Bible, making it arguably the most specialized collection of the three because it focuses on one book across millennia, continents, cultures, and languages. Put together, these six cultural heritage institutions all have defined goals for collecting and means by which to accomplish those goals through acquisitions and donations. Category 2. Preservation and access. Across special collections, access is much more a visible issue than preservation. All detail location, navigation, and parking, class visitations, and research appointments, while welcoming visitors from other institutions and guests. While BPCL is an archive and repository, it follows that manuscripts are in off-site stacks that require 24-hour notice during business hours for retrieval. Princeton allows researchers to use personal digital cameras, including cell phones and tablets, while working in the special collection reading rooms. Only Bryn Mawr makes vague allusions to preservation in its collection management policy, yet does not detail any actionable steps. Both Fraser and the Strong include descriptions of preservation considerations, while the Museum of the Bible is oddly silent on the subject. In its FAQ page, Fraser mentions rather offhandedly that the museum is kept at a temperature of 68 degrees constantly to protect and preserve the artifacts, so it recommends a light jacket or wrap for its guests. This commitment to a suitable environment for its objects stems from basic museum building facility maintenance, since both temperature and humidity should be kept at moderate levels for items such as paintings, works on paper, and many other artifacts. The Strong is the only institution to feature a dedicated preservation tab with lots of detailed information, where it states that all collections are stored in controlled temperature and relative humidity conditions. New acquisitions and donations are heavily documented before storage as part of their preventative conservation efforts. Preventative conservation not only preserves the physical integrity of the object, but also its historic and insurance value. The Strong has also become expert in preserving digital media. Neither Fraser or the Museum of the Bible state anything about access to materials by request for researchers or scholars. Although it can be said that all 6 cultural heritage institutions support access generally in that individuals and groups are permitted inside their doors. Levels of collection accessibility, both physical and digital, though, vary greatly across institutions. Category 3, Outreach and Education. Each of the special collections has at least one form of social media to engage in outreach and education efforts. Facebook is the constant and the least updated. All 3 special collections have one or more blogs and information regarding scheduling class visits. BPCL features 22 LibGuides and several collection-specific finding aids to support researchers. In the LibGuide for Disney, the term realia is defined as artifacts that are 3-dimensional and non-print, such as toys or games or clothing, before the LibGuide goes on to list several representative examples housed in its collection. This is an example of general education about library and archival terminology. The BCPL Twitter account is more educational than its Instagram. For example, there is a recent Twitter post about Little Big Books where the caption explains that these pint-sized books from the 1930s and 60s told short stories with popular characters from radio, newspaper comics, novels, movies, and cartoons at an affordable price. Conversely, BCPL's Instagram page is more interactive. It features a contest where community members can upload photos of their dogs to grace the cover of pulp magazines during the month of September. Princeton has numerous blogs, including Western Americana and This Week in Princeton History. Bryn Mawr is the only one to host a variety of programs almost every Friday at noon that support its collection and exhibits, and can also be an opportunity for students to present research they've done on materials in special collections as part of a course assignment or independent study. All 3 museums feature blogs posting about recent events and new acquisitions, and 2 have finding aids available online. Notably, Fraser advertises an extensive program involving historical interpreters, a trend within museology that is growing in acceptance, which adds dimension to static exhibits. Costumed actor educators are available at varying costs, depending on mileage and number of shows, to depict different historical figures in live performances at museums or at schools or community sites. The Strong partners with various community access programs, making museum admission possible for Rochester area, New York children and families who might not otherwise have the opportunity. The Museum of the Bible sponsors excavation collaborations to seek to understand the ancient world, especially the Roman and Byzantine periods. It features highly informative finding aids detailing description and provenance of single artifacts with images. For example, the Paris Pocket Bible in Latin is a manuscript made with ink on vellum. Collectively, these 6 cultural heritage institutions make routine use of a web presence to engage with their immediate community of users and potential users, as well as the larger cultural heritage world. Category 4, Integration and Growth. All 3 special collections engage in integration through citing sources from other institutions, likely in an effort to further attempts aimed at cross-referencing, interlinking, and integration with other data sets and information from various institutions. For example, Princeton highlights its collaborative partnerships and digitation efforts with HathiTrust and Annotated Books Online. BPCL can be thought of as cross-referencing its Beanie Babies with that of the Strong, since it includes a link to the Museum of Play for additional Beanie Babies. An area of great growth, only Bryn Mawr is unique in its publicly available statement regarding reconsidering the histories of colonialism and racism that have influenced the formation and presentation of their collections, which it deems to be both proactive based on professional and ethical commitments and responsive to calls from the community for a greater focus on these issues. Fraser states its goal on the Diversity, Equity, Access, and Inclusion page to be a dedication to creating a space where everyone feels welcome, well represented, and able to enjoy the museum and programming, which seems reminiscent of Bryn Mawr's formal declaration. The Strong, in its year 2022 in review report, listed more than a dozen new programs and collection displays to celebrate diversity in play, such as adding items that reflect diversity and inclusion, especially in the Barbie doll line. Only the Museum of the Bible shows indication of responding to new concepts in that it handles a provenance situation of recent controversy regarding the Dead Sea Scroll fragments in its possession. On its website, the museum quotes a professor at George Washington University who asserts the Museum of the Bible ultimately came clean about the fragments that might be modern forgeries and that lore and documents associated with their origins might be a fabrication. No conclusive verdict has been published yet. Together, most of the 6 cultural heritage institutions are making strides towards a semblance of information integration regarding collections, with Bryn Mawr and the Museum of the Bible taking the lead in growth based upon social movements and new concepts. The end. Thanks for viewing.